Hold on 1 second, please.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, can you say a few words?
Sure. This is the Guyana delegation joining from the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs and Governance in Georgetown, Guyana, for our review by the UN Human Rights Committee.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. I will check with the interpreters.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah. Uh,
Martins, excuse-moi, on a Guyane actuellement. Actuellement on a Guyane. Est-ce que tu peux faire juste une écoute de Guyane?
Ok, je demande aux collègues aussi.
Hello, can you hear me? Please unmute your microphone. And yes, you can go ahead and say a few words, please.
We're testing again. This is the
Yeah.
Guyana delegation joining from the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs and Governance in Georgetown, Guyana.
Go ahead, please. Keep speaking, please.
Sure. This is the Guyana delegation. The head of our delegation is the Minister of Parliamentary Affairs and Governance, the Honorable Gail Teixeira. We're also joined by members of the National Mechanism for Reporting and Follow-up, the NMRF, which is an inter-ministerial mechanism for reporting and follow-up established in Guyana in 2021.
Michael, tu nous entends?
Yeah.
Michael? Allô, allô?
He's coming up, I think. You can turn off.
White. If this is the type of favor anybody wants.
Hello?
Hi there.
Yeah, the sound is not great. From the interpreters, the sound is not great. It's even worse than yesterday. So, uh,
Muy buenas tardes.
A very good afternoon. Welcome to one and to all to this, the last part of our interactive dialogue with Guyana. We welcome the delegation, those members who are here in the Commons Room in Geneva, and those also joining us from Georgetown. We'll begin with the first on the list of speakers from the committee side. Mr. Carazzo, you have the floor.
Gracias.
Thank you very much. And once again, from my side, a welcome to the delegation of Guyana. Good morning to those joining us from Georgetown, and a good afternoon to those who are here in the conference room in Geneva. I will touch briefly on questions under paragraph 18, which is on liberty and security of the person.
Legislation regulating processes for lawful arrests is appropriate, as are also regulations on informing detainees on their rights. Yet there is a widespread practice of arbitrary and unlawful arrest by police officers and subsequent unlawful detention of civilians, including minors, as we have been reported. The use of force by police officers is governed by the police standard operating procedures. Breach of any of the provisions entitles the affected person to seek relief in court. Such breaches must also be reported to the Police Complaints Authority, which together with the Police Service Commission provide oversight against professional misconduct by members of the police force. Could the delegation provide statistics on this procedure, since the report lacks information about the number of investigations, convictions, and punishments undertaken following complaints of arbitrary and unlawful arrest and detention? No report is made on the existence of a system of restitution for people falsely deprived of their liberty. Does the system provide the services of public defenders to assist detainees without pay? Specific information on the measures taken to address prolonged pretrial detention and increase the use of the use of non-custodial alternatives was to be provided by the state party in the report. Please provide the requested information. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carazzo, for that intervention. The next speaker is Mr. El Haiba. Mr. El Haiba, you have the floor. Thank you, Chair. I would like once again to extend a very cordial welcome to the delegation of Guyana. And I would also like to take this opportunity to thank them for the information that they have shared with the committee yesterday and the day before yesterday. Today, I will be tackling 2 points. The first is questions under paragraph 19, which is on liberty and security of the person, and then a second set of questions under paragraph 20, which deals with elimination of slavery, servitude, and trafficking in persons. So beginning with paragraph 19, I do want to come back to the questions that were previously asked about the freedom and security of the person, but I'll approach it from a different angle this time. I would like to ask what specific measures have been taken by the state party to guarantee that children or juveniles in conflict with the law be treated in such a way as to prioritize their social reintegration. I would ask the state party to provide us with details on the nature and duration of penalties and sentences handed down to minors during the reporting period. Now, the committee has taken note of the adoption of the 2018 law on justice for minors. And against that backdrop, we'd like to ask the state party what measures have been taken to guarantee that detention of children is used solely as a last resort and for the shortest possible period. We would also ask what measures have been taken to ensure that children are detained and held separately from adults in line with international standards. Finally, under paragraph 19, the committee would like information from the state party as to any difficulties that it encountered in applying the aforementioned law on justice for minors, particularly in terms of resources and capacity. I will now turn to my questions under paragraph 20, elimination of slavery, servitude, and trafficking in persons. The committee has taken note of the significant steps taken by the state party in this area. Nonetheless, we would ask the delegation to provide us with information on concrete measures, i.e. strategies and action plans that have been enacted and rolled out to tackle human trafficking and child labour, in particular in rural areas. We have received information according to which children are employed in dangerous jobs, and we would like the state party to comment on these reports. According to the reports, children are working in mining, forestry, agriculture, fishing, and in manufacturing. And there is also concern about child labour, specifically in Amerindian communities. And so again, we'd ask the state party to comment on that. The state party is committed to prohibiting child labour. And so against that backdrop, I'd like you to comment on information we have received, according to which the number of children in conflict with the law and the number of street children have risen. We would also ask you to provide us with information on the process that went into drafting the National Action Plan to eliminate child labour covering the period 2019-2025. So as I say, if you could provide us with information on the drafting process that went into that action plan, including information on the stakeholders that were involved in that drafting process. I would like also to ask what specific measures have been taken by the state party to ensure that children are registered at birth and have access to identity documents. Thank you very much, and I look forward to your responses. Thank you very much, Mr. El Khaiba, for those questions. The next speaker on the list is Mr. Quesada. Mr. Quesada, you have the floor. Thank you, Chair. And a cordial welcome from my side to the Guyanese delegation. I would like as a preface to my questions to thank them for the replies that they provided yesterday, and also thank them in advance for the answers that we will receive this afternoon. And speaking of this afternoon, I will be asking questions on issues related to paragraphs 21 and 24 of the list of issues. Beginning with paragraph 21, I would like to focus here specifically on requests for information related to access to justice. Firstly, with regard to the significant backlog in cases before the courts, the state party informed the committee about progress that has been made in reducing the backlog of civil cases following the introduction of new civilian proceedings norms in 2016. Nonetheless, we lack more specific and precise information about the level of backlog in criminal cases as opposed to civil cases. And so I would ask the delegation of the state party to share with the committee whether there is indeed a backlog in criminal cases and in the processing and handling of same. And if there is indeed such a backlog in criminal cases, we would welcome numbers and statistics. In addition to the step taken to convert transport containers into hearing chambers in prisons to improve the efficiency of the system for persons in pretrial detention, and I take that information from the state party's third periodic report, I'd like to ask what other measures have been adopted by the state party to make headway in reducing the delays as well as the backlog in criminal trials and criminal proceedings. Have any new criminal courts been set up and opened over the last few years? I turn now to my second question under paragraph 21. In the list of issues, the committee requested the state party to provide statistical data on the free legal aid system in the country. We asked particularly for A, details on the number and type of cases for which free legal aid has been requested, the number of type of cases in which free legal aid was granted, and the number of type of cases in which free legal aid was denied during the reporting period. This information was not provided in the third periodic report, so I'd ask the delegation of the state state party to provide us with that data, with those statistics and numbers now. Finally, under paragraph 21, I would like to ask whether the state party has adopted measures to improve access to justice for residents in rural and remote areas, including the interior of the country, as well as for members of indigenous communities. And on a related note, we'd like to ask how you guarantee access to free legal aid from persons living in remote and rural and interior areas and from indigenous communities. I turn now to a set of questions under paragraph 24, which deals with the treatment of aliens, including refugees and asylum seekers. I have the following questions under this heading. Firstly, in its third periodic report, the state party indicated that Guyana was not in a position currently to prioritize a comprehensive national legislation on refugees and asylum procedures, but that it would keep the issue under review and may move to review it or to consider it later. So I'd like to ask whether since the submission of your report in which you made that point, you have actually begun any legislative process to address the need for comprehensive legislation on refugees and asylum processes. Would also like to ask the state party whether you have considered the possibility of acceding to the Refugee Status Convention of 1954 and its 1967 protocol. My second question under paragraph 24. We have been made aware of complaints pertaining to discrimination and ill treatment meted out against Haitian migrants, including reports of detention in inhumane conditions. We have also been informed that the government is said to have issued an order removing Haitian migrants from the list of foreign nationals who can enter Guyana and remain in the country for a period of up to 6 months visa-free. Such a measure would be a violation of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, according to which Haitians, in their capacity as nationals of a member state of CARICOM, Haiti has been a member of CARICOM since July 2002, would have automatic right of entry and the right to remain 6 months visa-free in Guyana because they are both members of CARICOM. So I'd like to ask the delegation of the state party to explain the grounds for this measure, which has so adversely impacted the right to enter and remain visa-free for 6 months of Haitian nationals in Guyana. I'd also like to ask a specific question about the status and situation of Haitian asylum seekers. Are they subject to these same restrictions on their right to entry and right to remain, etc.? My third question under paragraph 24, and here I reiterate one of the questions contained in our list of issues. The committee would like to ask the state party about the measures that it has adopted to prevent and combat the trafficking of refugee women and girls, in particular those coming from the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, as well as steps taken by Guyana to guarantee protection and assistance to victims of this trafficking. Finally, I'd like to address the lack of domestic legislation on asylum and highlight the fact that Guyana is not a state party to the Refugee Status Convention of 1951. And given that that is the case, how does the state party guarantee the principle of non-refoulement, of non-return? It is our understanding that with regard to nationals of Venezuela, who are the victims of forced displacement, the government of Guyana has applied a humanitarian policy which allows these Venezuelans to enter the country and to remain without risk of refoulement or return. And so I'd like to ask whether this same humanitarian policy is applied to nationals of other countries, including nationals from Haiti. Those are my questions for the time being, and once again, I look forward to your answers. Thank you very much, Mr. Quesada. The next speaker on the list is Mr. Helfer. Mr. Helfer, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and my thanks again to the delegation for a robust exchange of views and dialogue over a range of different issues. Today, I will focus on freedom of expression and the rights of Indigenous peoples. Beginning with freedom of expression, the committee is concerned about reports that more than 90% of mass media are either controlled by the state party or owned by Indo-Guyanese who support the government. The committee is also aware of reports of politicization in the media. For example, we have received information indicating that the National Broadcasting Authority, whose board members are appointed by the president, lacks full independence and impartiality, a concern that extends to the authority's regulatory and licensing decisions. Please comment on these reports and please explain how the state party will ensure that the media in Guyana is independent and that opposition voices are not censored. The state party indicates in its report that its officials do not harass media workers critical of the government. However, the committee is aware of credible reports of such harassment. This includes incidents involving senior government officials. For example, journalists affiliated with the K8